And how do we drive more people into all of our CrossFit affiliates? That's one of our responsibilities at CrossFit is where we should be really not only be able to, but also make clear that we're driving more members into your gym.
Yep.
And and so that's our responsibility. And that's something we need to do. We're spending a lot of time and cycles on from people that come to CrossFit.com and then bringing them to the affiliate map and then eventually to the affiliate. And we're doing new things, which is really exciting, like nerdy stuff, but making sure that when people search CrossFit, CrossFit.com is actually at the top. It
Oh,
drives,
Google
right?
keywords and AdWords, SEO, SEM. I'm speaking my language, man.
Yes, exactly. And as people can bid on those things,
Absolutely.
that's not CrossFit. No, like so no, we were at the bottom of the list, say 6 months ago, and now we've increased that traffic by like 40% in like
Good.
3 months and really good stuff. And we drive to two pages, either what is CrossFit or go find an affiliate. And we're able to start to track that stuff. And so we're building that muscle, which is again a little in the weeds, but I think it's important because the next step is we're working on retooling our affiliate map. So we can have a better place to showcase our affiliates. So when someone comes there, they can actually then reach out to you really easily and you can get someone and we can start to track that and identify what works and what doesn't work, what gets more people to that page and to our gyms. So that's one side, that muscle we need to build. So our affiliates feel that there's an abundance of traffic because that is important to your point. I mean, the business model of a CrossFit affiliate is relatively simple: members, and there's two sides to that coin: is new members and retention. And then I think to that point of the worries of members and volume, I think a lot of this comes down to is, and this is why I've been spending a lot of time talking to the mentors in the CrossFit space that help these businesses. And a lot of it is you don't need a lot of members. You need, I mean, you can't, most gyms can't really handle more than 150 or 200 members, like from a volume perspective. So making sure that your business and your business model is set up so we can handle that appropriately and that you have 150 members that are paying the right price, that are paying for the value that you're delivering, which is really hard. I struggle with this a lot. When at my gyms, you had your founders, right? You had all these things because you care about people so much that you
Yeah.
sometimes lose sight that you're running that business. And a lot of that, you need some help. And that's where a lot of coaches and mentors come in to
Yeah.
identify areas of improvement. And so, and yeah, and we have some gyms that are able, the big gyms that have 400 or 500 members, but I think the average affiliates have about 150 members, which is about right when I look at the spaces I had. And it also allows you to have less of a footprint.
Mhm.
The more real estate you have, that makes running the business a little more challenging. So I think having these conversations that we're having now, we never had years ago, right? I mean,
Right.
you guys know that like we never talked about the business of running an affiliate. We talked a lot about other things. And so it's refreshing that we can speak about this. We can talk about it with our affiliates. It's uncomfortable business and it is sometimes a challenge, but I think it's the fact that our community is asking for the help, that we're working and leaning in on it. It's exciting. We have to deliver results. We can't just talk about it, but it's definitely, it's refreshing, certainly from the, the selfish perspective of me being an affiliate for a long time. I never even entertain these conversations with CrossFit ever, right?
No.
It wasn't even a thought process.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been coaching for 12 years now. Oh, gee, just like you. Feel it. I feel it. And it's a
Right.
very different shift in overall mentality. It's also a different shift in what the affiliate owners have been asking for. There was a time where I don't know if they wanted the support as much. There were fewer affiliates, there was less of a brand, there was less of a whatever, but I love the idea of listening to their requests and being there with the resources if wanted, if necessary, if whatever, and pushing
Mm.
the phone calls and the round tables and everything onto them, being like, "Oh, you guys should really come," and seeing who shows up because
That's right.
it's definitely an evolution of where the brand and also the affiliates and the owners and the coaches, whatever, where everyone needs to be.
Well, there
What's
was
it
less
called? Oh, go ahead, John.
well, I was gonna say there's less competition then too, though. That was we had this
Yes, that
explosive
was part
growth
of
in
it.
the early
Uh-huh.
days, but what people often don't talk about is in the early days, what you didn't have was Orange Theory and all these booty boot camps on every
That's right.
corner, and
But
kind
you
of all the
always had Les Mills, and I used to coach a
yes.
class called Shabam, which was
Mhm. Yeah.
literally like a dance fitness class. True story. When I was first starting CrossFit, I was like coaching Shabam like 3 times a week. So Les Mills was always there, just
Well, I
throwing that
just
out
in
there.
those days, I think it was easier to get people to come in because there wasn't you didn't have a lot of competition, and so you could go out and get a lot of people like me that wanted to work out, didn't really know where to start, didn't wanna pay for a personal trainer, liked the idea of group classes, but now you've got half a dozen pretty big chains that do group classes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think the biggest thing for you guys to battle, and I'm curious on your insight on this, is like you're talking about getting people in the door. I talked to kind of met 3 different people last week outside of the space that but we're all in fitness, and the one thing they all said to me was, "Oh, I could never do that. I could never do what you do. It's too scary, too dangerous, too extreme." Like, that was kind of the
Really?
mindset. Yeah, and
Still?
it's absolutely still in the community, and I
Dang.
Yep.
think that's maybe in my mind, that's the biggest obstacle to getting people to set foot in the space.
Mm.
How do you beat down that mentality that we're still out here trying to make people puke every day?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that assessment and that challenge, I agree with you on that. We hear that a lot. We've had the opportunity to a lot of listening, a lot of people from outside and inside the space. And our affiliate, I mean, when we get in front of our affiliates, that question comes up verbatim of what are you doing to change the brand perception? To that point of CrossFit's too hard, it's dangerous, and and again, and and what permeates that. I think, and as we look back, one messaging is really important. So we think about what we message and how we message it. And if you take a point back to the open, as if you look at a lot of the media that was pushed around that, there was a concerted effort to tell stories of people that that when we would outside of the world of CrossFit are relatable and really powerful stories.
Yeah.
So some of the stories that we ran, some of the CrossFit Bison stories were really powerful in week two. And that's something else. We know the games is a platform, but we need to make sure that we utilize that platform to tell the stories of what's happening in our affiliates where, yeah, seeing amazing athletes do amazing things. Got it. I get it. But we have to be able to show what CrossFit does at our community level. And so that's really where we're spending a lot of our time from a media perspective is really
Yeah.
highlighting that. And but no doubt will always be a challenge. And this is where when we think about marketing, I always thought about marketing as it's education, right? That's really what it is. And you're educating on something. And we have a job of demystifying a very mystifying industry, which is fitness, right? I mean, it is a challenging industry to navigate. And then you layer on sort of the antithesis of what most people think they should be doing. Work hard, right? It's a challenge. Right? Most people are looking for how do I get results relatively quickly? That's just the reality. The good thing is CrossFit works, and we have that caveat to lean on. And then really thinking about we have 13,000 affiliates. We have all these members. We need to make sure that we highlight these stories. So little things that we're doing at the ground level, it's going to take time. We actually have a PR firm in the United States that what we do is we in our all of our field staff and we send it to our affiliates. If you have a story that of someone at your gym doing something that's new, that we send actually we have that email address that you can send to this agency, and then they work with local media to see if they're willing to highlight it. So it's about once a week where a local news station highlights something at that's happening at an affiliate.
Well,
These are really
ironically, the local news team was at my affiliate tonight because that same media team reached out to us. That
yeah,
wasn't planned, by the way,
awesome.
but
Heck
How
there they
yeah.
were.
funny.
Well, and
Good timing.
that means we
Yeah.
know at least we know it's working.
Yeah.
I say this and it's a big machine, but and that's our biggest power, right? And I think that that's something that it's with a community as large as we have, moving in one direction, moving together. To your point of, we should be pushing each other to have a better quality in all of our gyms, no matter whether you're the best in the world or it's your first day with your doors open. That helps us, and then making sure that at that ground level, people are aware of it. I mean, that's how CrossFit worked. It went viral quickly, word of mouth and it was right place, right time in a lot of sense. We can still take advantage of that. I mean, there is no other fitness gym, chain, you name it, that has as vast of a network that we have. So we can harness that for the good. No doubt that challenge is still there. And I spoke with an affiliate this week and she was really asking how can she reach a group of people that are still afraid, right? So little things to come in. So a lot little things that we want to work on, and we have some of the tools like in a marketing toolkit of giving how to articulate what CrossFit is, the magic of CrossFit, those things that like Nicole Carroll led in the first couple months of the year. That type of messaging was important. It speaks maybe a little too much to the existing CrossFitter, but it is inspirational enough to raise an eyebrow that it's not you're not upside down and you're not flipping around. You're something is actually changing, right? Like positive life change. And I think that's where we're seeing the direction of from a communication and marketing perspective. But no doubt a challenge that we have because you walk into a gym and when you see someone doing a pull up even, that's nerve wracking for someone that hasn't even seen a pull up bar or let alone hung on a pull up bar. And that's why virtuosity and coaching is really important and communication and things that we teach at our level two and then things like that, where understanding how to communicate with athletes and because it's an athlete is when they walk in the door and not to go too far off subject, but I'll never forget at Reebok CrossFit One, we had a gal walk in and one of our trainers started talking to her. And I talked about this because she wasn't a member. She was just someone that walked in. And in the business world, that's a lead, right? If you want to be
Yeah.
nerdy about it, right? And in our world, it's a human being, right? And they walk in and engage in a conversation. And I overheard it, and afterwards, I filled me in on what the conversation was. And she said, "Hey, like basically said, I'm nervous, I'm petrified, I'm out of shape. I don't feel like I even should be here." And we took her to the side, walked around, spent probably half an hour with her, just talking to her, and got to the end of it. And he said, "Well, what would you like to achieve if you were to join here?" And she looked at the pull up bar and she said, "I would just like to hang from the pull up bar." Like she goes, "I don't like," because I just feel like I could never do that. It gives me goosebumps just kind of reiterating that because like that was a legit like she just said like it was something she never thought she could do. It's like, well, great. Well, we'll let's work towards that. We'll set a plan and we'll work on getting you to hang from the pull-up bar. There was no other conversation about anything else other than that. She came in and brought her through a couple one-on-ones to get her comfortable and to learn some of the movements about the community. And then she started taking class. And a month later, she hung from the pull-up bar for 20 seconds.
Hmm.
Came off the pull-up bar crying, right? And it was one of those moments that she was just saying thank you. And I highlight that because that's the role of the coach is to meet the athlete where they are, not where you want them to be. And and then from there, make sure they're a part of the community. For this individual, just being in the gym around people and then matriculating into class was something that she never thought that she wanted to do or be because she was so nervous or and afraid and developing that confidence and then hanging from the pull-up bar achieved a goal. And you do that, now she's going to go out there and talk to someone that would have never even thought a CrossFit gym existed. And if we continually do that, that's how we can make real change. And that's why, but we as coaches need to continually be better. And because it's a challenge, you have to be really confident in your abilities to be able to do that, to meet them where they are and to get them into class. And then how do you assess everyone with that same ability? So that's a little tangent, but I do think that we can easily forget how important the role of the coach is when it comes into running a gym, and that we can never just rest on the fact that well, CrossFit works, so just take class. And like, God, let me have a conversation with you. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And because that also is what separates us from any other fitness program. It's not hard to make a hard workout. It's not hard to do things that make you sweat. Right? That's easy. Right. What separates CrossFit is the neurological adaptations, the adaptations that happen between the years, right? The learning of new skills, because these are things that will unlock new opportunities that you'd never imagine. And it also gives you opportunities to have wins, right? Getting stronger and getting faster, all that happens, losing body fat, gaining muscle, great. But doing something you've never done in your life before, certainly as we get older in our life, these are things that almost seem unattainable for most
Hmm.
adults. And that's kind of what's cool about CrossFit is you get someone upside down for the first time in their life. That's literally life changing, right? So those are just, I think those things are what we can forget because we get too enamored with we kind of start to major in the minors as opposed to pulling back. And that's the red thread I see at our best gyms. They do that
Mm.
really well.